darkest place. We believe our mom is still out there. We need your help.
What if the biggest clue in this entire kidnapping wasn't the masked intruder? What if it wasn't the ransom note, the mysterious glove, or the camera that went dark at exactly 1:47 a.m.? What if the real bombshell was sitting on Savannah Guthrie's own phone days before her mother vanished? Because that's exactly what people are whispering tonight. New footage has surfaced, and it's not what anyone expected. Before Nancy Guthrie disappeared without a trace, before the sirens, before the national headlines, there was a moment, a conversation, a look, a pause that now has the internet in full detective mode.
Hi there, everybody. I wanted to come on and just share a few thoughts as we enter into another week of this nightmare.
Was it tension? Was it fear? Or was it something nobody wants to admit? You see, Savannah Guthrie isn't just any daughter. She's a powerful media figure, a woman who's interviewed presidents, exposed scandals, and built an empire on live television.
Because we believe that somehow, some way, she is feeling these prayers and that God is lifting her even in this moment.
So, when her 84-year-old mother is taken, cameras disabled, nothing stolen, people start asking dangerous questions. Coincidence or calculated? Tonight, we're breaking down the footage frame by frame because once you see what people are pointing out, you might start wondering who this kidnapping was really meant for.
Developments in the Nancy Guthrie kidnapping case. First of all, the testing of that glove, the DNA testing in Florida, is complete.
And here's where things stop feeling like a random crime and start feeling like a headline waiting to explode. Let's rewind. Nancy Guthrie, 84 years old, limited mobility, daily heart medication, pacemaker synced to her phone, living quietly in Silver Ridge Estates, the kind of neighborhood where porch lights stay on and neighbors wave from golf carts. Not exactly the profile of a high-risk target, unless she wasn't the real target.
Now, that doesn't answer the questions about whose DNA is it and are they connected to this kidnapping?
Because her daughter, Savannah Guthrie, isn't just a familiar face. She's the face. Primetime interviews, political showdowns, viral monologues. A woman who has made very powerful people uncomfortable on live television. And here's the part that makes people lean in closer. The night Nancy vanished, nothing was stolen.
Because under federal law, the glove has to be tested in the state where the glove is found.
No jewelry taken, no safe cracked, no electronics missing, just her. Let that sink in. A masked figure disables the door camera with surgical precision, moves through the property calmly.
That glove, we're told, is in Arizona right now. This is called a PCR test. It's the most sophisticated DNA test.
Leaves behind valuables and walks away with an elderly woman who requires daily medication. That's not chaos. That's intention. Former intelligence insiders, and yes, anonymous ones, who can't go on record, are already whispering that this doesn't resemble a burglary gone wrong.
It's the gold standard. Usually takes just a day to get the results.
It resembles reconnaissance, familiarity, planning. And then there's Savannah, because just weeks before this nightmare, she had hosted a series of explosive segments targeting corporate lobbyists, political donors, and defense contractors. Segments that trended, segments that sparked lawsuits, segments that made enemies.
We are told that in the next 24 hours, once that glove is tested and the results are in, that profile will go into the CODIS system.
Powerful enemies. Coincidence or consequence? The internet, of course, wasted no time. Clips of Savannah's past interviews resurfaced. Her confrontations, her sharp questioning style, her on-air clashes with executives who suddenly found themselves sweating under studio lights. And then, someone posted a timeline. 3 major exposés, 2 public threats on social media, 1 elderly mother living alone.
Now, we are also told, and I think this is really interesting, that the glove that was tested is not the glove that the New York Post found.
The dots began connecting themselves, whether fairly or not. But here's where it gets even stranger. Neighbors reported seeing a dark SUV circling Silver Ridge Estates twice in the week leading up to the abduction. No plates captured.
There are stories out there that gun shops have been given around 40 names of people that the FBI wanted to check.
No clear image, just a vehicle that didn't belong. Was it random or surveillance? Because the masked figure didn't just walk up blindly. They knew where the cameras were. They reached directly for the doorbell device, disabled it within seconds. That's not luck, that's knowledge.
See if people bought a certain type of gun, namely the gun that was in the holster of the presumed kidnapper.
And then the pacemaker app disconnects at 2:28 a.m. That detail alone has investigators unsettled. Whoever did this understood timing, understood technology, understood the house. Which brings us back to the footage between Savannah and Nancy. The clip people can't stop replaying. At first glance, it's ordinary. A daughter visiting her mother. Casual conversation.
So what we found out is that they have already checked out the holster to see who has bought a similar holster in that area.
Laughter that feels slightly forced. A moment where Savannah adjusts a phone camera and Nancy glances off to the side for just a second too long. It's subtle, but subtle is where mysteries live. Body language analysts online have dissected it frame by frame. One pointed out that Nance's tone shifts when Savannah mentions security. Another claims Savannah appears distracted, checking her phone.
Carlos, so sorry to bother you, man. What's your first and last name so we can get it right?
Carlos, Palazuelos.
Okay, and you were apprehended for
Normal behavior or stress no one recognized at the time. And the biggest question of all, if this was random, why does it feel so deliberate? Why take the person who guarantees maximum media attention? Why create a case that would dominate national headlines within hours? Unless the attention was the point, unless the message wasn't about money, unless it was about power. Because nothing terrifies influence more than vulnerability. And if someone wanted to send Savannah Guthrie a message, a warning, what better way than to touch the one thing she couldn't control, her family?
Until right now, all I know is that they show my in-law a picture of somebody wearing a mask or something, and they supposedly look like my eyes.
This isn't just a disappearance anymore. It's a chessboard, and someone made the first move. And just when you think this story can't twist any further, it does. Because while the public was focused on the masked figure and the disabled camera, something else was happening quietly behind the scenes. A leak. Not from...
You don't have your phone right now. Okay. What else? What else happened?
That's it.
Not from the family, but from what one anonymous source described as a private forensic contractor assisting the investigation. According to that source, who insisted on total anonymity, the glove recovered 2 miles from Nancy Guthrie's home didn't just contain DNA, it contained a partial secondary profile. Read that again. Not 1, 2. Now, before you roll your eyes and say internet rumor, understand this. Investigators have neither confirmed nor denied it, which in cases like this is practically fuel for speculation. If there were 2 profiles, what does that mean? An accomplice, a handler, or someone who tried to plant evidence and got sloppy? And then there's the backpack.
They are just chasing down every possible lead they can to try and find the kidnapper and Nancy Guthrie.
The now infamous hiking pack purchased from Value Mart. Investigators traced regional sales data and discovered something curious. 5 identical backpacks were purchased within a 30-meter radius in the same week.
Right now, they don't have a straight line to a suspect or even person of...
Coincidence or coordinated? One store employee allegedly told reporters that a man paid cash for the bag and declined a receipt. When asked if he remembered anything unusual, the employee reportedly said he didn't blink much. Not exactly a smoking gun, but unsettling.
We are not going to talk about this person anymore because if I tell you that he sent us another letter but didn't give us the information.
Meanwhile, online sleuths uncovered something even stranger. Just days before the abduction, Savannah Guthrie's official website experienced a cyber intrusion attempt. The attack failed, but the timestamp 48 hours before Nancy vanished. Are we connecting dots that don't belong together? Maybe. But here's what can't be ignored. Multiple ransom emails were sent to different media outlets, each demanding cryptocurrency, each claiming knowledge of Nance's condition. And yet not one included proof of life.
And that could screw up the investigation because that information is going to go immediately to the FBI, and then they're going to do their thing.
That's not how traditional ransom operations work. You prove you have the asset, you leverage it, you negotiate. This felt theatrical, like someone wanted headlines more than money. And then came the Carlos Palicel incident. A man detained during a routine traffic stop after someone claimed his eyes resembled the suspect's. His home searched, his phone seized, hours of questioning, released without charges. But here's what shook people. He later claimed investigators showed his in-laws a blurred image and asked, "Does this look like him?" That's razor-thin evidence, which tells you one thing. Authorities don't have a straight line to anyone. They are chasing shadows.
Law enforcement is working tirelessly around the clock, trying to bring her home, trying to find her. She was taken and we don't know where.
And while all this unfolds, Savannah continues posting emotional appeals. Some critics call them heartfelt. Others call them strategic, because every video trends, every clip dominates the algorithm.
So I'm coming on just to ask you, not just for your prayers, but no matter where you are, even if you're far from Tucson, if you see anything.
Every plea keeps the case alive in public consciousness. Is that grief? Or is that media instinct? It's an uncomfortable question, but uncomfortable questions are what this case was built on. Behind closed doors, insiders say federal agencies are monitoring not just suspects, but digital patterns, financial movements, crypto wallets, encrypted chats.
Hear anything, if there's anything at all that seems strange to you, that you report to law enforcement.
Because if this wasn't random, if this was targeted, then this wasn't just a kidnapping. It was a statement. And whoever made it is watching the reaction very, very closely. And then the pressure exploded, because when a case drags on without answers, two things happen. The public gets restless and politicians get involved. Enter Donald Trump. In a late-night interview that felt more like a warning than a statement, he made it crystal clear. If Nancy Guthrie was harmed, the federal response would be swift and historic. Swift, historic.
We are at an hour of desperation, and we need your.
That's not casual language. That's the kind of language that tells you agencies are already circling something bigger. Within 48 hours of that statement, unmarked vehicles were reportedly seen outside properties linked to individuals who had previously clashed publicly with Savannah Guthrie. No confirmations, no arrests, just quiet surveillance. Or at least that's what neighbors claim. Meanwhile, financial analysts began noticing something strange in the crypto world now.
And it's been more than 2 weeks since the mother of American TV presenter Savannah Guthrie was taken from her home in Arizona.
A wallet address tied to one of the ransom emails briefly activated, then went dormant again within minutes. No major transfer, just a flicker of activity. Testing the waters or bait? Because here's the thing, nobody can ignore anymore.
Donald Trump is threatening those who've taken her. Live to John O'Kersley, our Washington correspondent, for more. Jonathan, the US president says the kidnappers will face the death penalty.
If this were purely about money, there would have been proof of life by now. If this were a random act, there would have been mistakes. But what we're seeing instead feels disciplined, strategic, cold. Sheriff Chris Nanos admitted during a press conference that investigators are working multiple complex angles and refused to elaborate further. When pressed about motive, he paused visibly before saying, "We are not ruling anything out." Not ruling anything out. That includes political retaliation, personal vendettas, if she isn't found alive. Peter, this is an extraordinary intervention from President Trump in a phone interview with the New York Post, saying that those who have taken Nancy G. professional grudges, even internal leaks. And then came the most chilling detail yet. Signal detection aircraft were deployed over Silver Ridge Estates to attempt contact with Nance's pacemaker frequency. Also posted to Truth Social earlier today to praise the public television appearance on our affiliates Fox News here in the United States of a former FBI official. Think about that. helicopters scanning the sky for a heartbeat. That's not standard protocol for a routine disappearance. That's desperation. Because as days turn into weeks, the math becomes brutal. Medication runs out, devices power down, hope thins. But Savannah Guthrie hasn't stopped and said, hopefully there will be a positive result in this case. It has been a case that has baffled the nation and baffled so many around the world. Her latest video didn't just ask for prayers. It addressed whoever is holding her mother directly. It's not too late to do the right thing. Not too late. That line landed differently this time because it sounded less like optimism and more like a deadline. Behind the scenes, legal experts speculate that if evidence connects this case to intimidation or retaliation linked to Savannah's reporting, federal obstruction and conspiracy charges could follow, which would transform this from a kidnapping into a national scandal. And here's the haunting truth. If Nancy was taken to silence someone, it didn't work. It amplified everything. The cameras are rolling harder, the spotlight is brighter, and somewhere out there, someone knows exactly why this happened. The question is, will they crack before the truth does? Today, we heard from Savannah Guthrie once again with an emotional statement. This is some of what she had to say. So now the question isn't just where is Nancy Guthrie? The real question is, who was this message meant for? Because if this was random, the odds don't make sense. If this was about money, the behavior doesn't match. It's been 2 weeks since our mom was taken, and if this was about power, then we may be looking at something far bigger than a single disappearance in Silver Ridge Estates. Think about everything we just walked through: the calculated camera shutdown, the missing proof of life, the crypto wallet flicker, the cyber intrusion attempt days before the abduction, the political escalation, the silence. Too many moving parts, too much precision. We still have hope and we still believe. To whoever has her or knows where she is, you're not lost or alone, and absolutely zero clear motive. So, I want to ask you something and answer honestly in the comments. Do you believe Nancy was the target, or do you believe Savannah Guthrie was? Because if someone wanted attention, they got it. If someone wanted fear, they created it. And if someone wanted control, they just triggered the loudest spotlight imaginable. Drop your theory below. Was this revenge, a warning, a failed negotiation, or something we haven't even considered yet? And if you think the public deserves transparency, not rehearsed press conferences, not filtered statements, but real answers, make sure you hit like, subscribe, turn on notifications. Because if new footage drops, if a suspect slips, if the narrative shifts even slightly, you'll hear it here first. This story isn't over, and neither are.